welcome to another episode of the Non-Native Leader video podcast series where we try to answer the question, can you have an international career even though you were not born in an English-speaking country? And as you know, every week we speak to amazing individuals and they tell us their stories, they share their stories, their careers, they share how they have achieved what they have achieved, and hopefully we get some insight and some inspiration, and this is why we talk to people from diverse backgrounds and different stories, different biographies, and so that we hope we can inspire as many people as possible. Today I'm here with Stefano Pappalardo. Hi, Stefano. And
Hi.
I'm quite happy to be talking to Stefano today because actually he has some interesting insights because he started in IT, then he worked on sales, and today is having a completely different career into marketing and social media management. I don't want to tell too much because, I'm sure Stefano can do that much better than I can. And so, yes, Stefano, I'd like to, pass the ball to you and like whatever you want to share on, what you do, who you are. I think it'd be interesting for everybody.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Danielle. Hi, my name is Stefano. I've been in Ireland for 18 years at this stage, in Dublin. And at the moment, I work for GCN, which is Gay Community News, so Ireland's LGBTQ plus national media. And we're based in Dublin. My current role is head of digital marketing and development. So essentially, what we do for GCN, as I said, is Ireland's queer media. I'm in charge of anything that's online. So that includes managing the website, the content of the website, social media, and then all the marketing elements. So essentially promoting all the cool stuff that we do, from the magazine, which goes out bi-monthly, to any campaign, any event, because as well as having a magazine and a news site, we also run fundraising events because GCN is part of our non-for-profit charity, essentially. So yeah, that's kind of like my job in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because you mentioned like digital marketing, social campaigns, gay rights. So like it's very broad, and but at the same time
Yeah.
you're very focused, on like the language required to communicate with people online, essentially. Like you're an expert on social media, which is just quite amazing, especially when you think that you actually didn't start with such a role. You started doing something completely different when you first went to Ireland. So yeah, I'd be interested in knowing a little bit more how you started and how you ended up doing what you're doing today.
Yeah. When I moved to Ireland, I had a very kind of basic level of English, I suppose. I studied English in high school, but I've never I never practiced English. So there's a huge difference when you just are learning in school, and then when you're thrown into the deep end of the reality of another country.
Yeah.
So my first job was actually in Xerox, and I worked with the Italian team. And it was essentially customer service, so answering phone calls in Italian. So luckily enough, because my partner at the time and some of my friends were all Irish, the majority, so I kind of picked up English fairly quickly. And then within, I think after 6 or 8 months, I got moved to the kind of finance team, I suppose, and that was my first role in working in English. So obviously that was a little bit challenging at first because again I was used to only answer the phone and work in Italian. So it was a big adjustment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was working there I think for a year and a half or something like that. And then unfortunately the company made like redundancies.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky because even that was like, yeah, that was at the beginning of when I got my first job. It was fairly shortly after I moved to Dublin, even though I didn't, as I said, speak a lot of English. And it's because we were at the peak of like the Celtic Tiger, so it was right away pretty much. But then after I got my redundance, that was when the kind of, I suppose, crash happened. I think it
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
20, 2007, I believe.
Okay.
Uh, but even in that time where, a lot of company were closing down and a lot of people were losing the job, I was lucky enough because I found something else fairly soon after. And it was still within the same kind of role, so within like the finance, order management. So yeah, I've been pretty lucky because I had a consistency in terms of like jobs. But I
Yeah,
suppose after,
which is good, you know. It isn't
yeah,
bad, you know.
no, I
You
can't
gotta eat,
complain,
you
can't
know.
complain.
You
Yeah.
gotta eat
Uh,
after all.
yeah, but I suppose after a few years working in that field for like multinationals, paid well. I changed a couple of multinationals. I had a really positive experience overall. But I guess after a while, I just realized that maybe that's not exactly what I wanted to be doing, even though, it paid well. And as I said, I've always only had positive experiences with any teams or any company I worked for. I guess the kind of like my wake up call happened when during the marriage equality referendum, which was in 2000. God, I should know this. 2015, I suppose, because I got involved with the local just equality group, which was basically campaigning for same-sex marriage in Ireland. So obviously, my partner is Irish. I couldn't really vote in Ireland, so I figured the best way I could make myself useful was to get involved with the non-for-profit to campaign for same-sex marriage. After that, I think I was put pretty much straight away for just a series of coincidences. I was put in charge of the social media of that group, even though I had like pretty much zero experience. And that's when obviously the marriage became the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage through popular vote. And after that, I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this as a job.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, so like
yeah.
this is something. So you were in a more like corporate environment,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then when you saw like there was something you got really involved in, obviously, and something that was
Hmm.
touching you personally, and that sort of made you switch. Like, okay, I want to do something different now. So you just said like,
Yes.
so what was, let's say, what was the challenging moment in all of this? Because changing job, I mean, obviously you
Hmm.
said like you lost your job for a period, but luckily you always found something. But in the second part, it was you actually making a conscious decision to change
Hmm.
completely the field. So was that like a challenge for you?
Yeah, well, it was, but first of all, it was kind of, scary because I had a skill job in corporate and I figured out I wanted to start working with NGOs, which, it's not, it's trickier. But I guess the main challenge for me was that I had pretty much zero qualifications. So while in my previous corporate roles, I managed to build an experience, as I said, I switched a couple of companies and I was always able to find fairly quickly. But I had no qualification and no experience working in digital marketing, or in the NGO sector. So I guess that was for me was the biggest challenge to kind of manage to do that switch from two completely different kind of, I suppose, career paths. So I guess for me, what I figured out is that if I wanted to be serious and if I wanted to make a career change, which I mean, it kind of was late in life, I suppose, because it was my mid 30s. That's when, a lot of people already kind
But
of
don't say that.
know what we're doing. So I guess for me, I realized, okay, serious, I want to do this. So I need to get some kind of qualification. Essentially, if I want to switch, I knew there were opportunities in Ireland. I know some, other countries might be a little bit more difficult to switch career path completely, but I said to myself, the least that I need is a qualification, essentially like a diploma that allows me to have that in my in my CV, and that hopefully I'll be able to kind of get something and build up experience, because again, I had a lot of experience, but it was just not relevant with what I wanted to do. So yeah, that was the main challenge for me, to kind
Yeah.
of like fill that gap between experience and like education.
Wow. Yeah, which is kind of interesting because, like you have a target, you have a goal. So the idea is,
Mm-hmm.
what do I need to do to get there? And in your
Mm-hmm.
case, yeah, you knew what you wanted to do, so you knew what kind of qualification you
Mm-hmm.
needed, which is kind of interesting, really. And so, like, okay, in that period, yeah, I'm actually interested in that period. So where you were making this switch, so did you have like negative emotions associated to this situation?
Yeah, I suppose like well, before that period, just before, what made me I suppose what pushed me to switch was I just was feeling a bit trapped in a career path that was paying well and was great, but just wasn't what I felt like I wanted to do with my life. So that was quite it was a period of time where I was feeling a little bit stuck, I suppose, in something that, again, I realized I didn't really have an interest. But once I kind of figured out I wanted to do something else and I wanted to study, it was a little bit stressful because, again, I did a diploma in digital marketing, and I was working still full time. So, it was
Hard.
a little bit challenging, and it
It
was
is. It
stressful,
is.
because also then I figured out so I got my diploma, and, I passed with like really good grades, but then it was again it was a bit of a fear in making that leap from, something that and you know how to do, to something completely different, especially when it's an NGO, or like non-for-profit business, that there's also like a bit of a gap in salaries between, like, multinational corporate and then NGOs. So yeah, I guess it was the negative emotion would have been like initially feeling a bit stuck, then kind of the evaluating the risks, and just like being stressed about like getting this diploma to allow myself to switch essentially into something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine like was very stressful period working and studying, and then with the worries.
Mm,
Okay, so I'm going to leave the security of my current job, even though
exactly.
I don't really like it, but and then will I make enough money to to afford my
Mm-hmm.
life? Yeah, that's I suppose that must have been
Or even
stressful.
will I be able to find. Yeah, and I remember my parents were like, "Are you insane?" Like, because I was leaving a really good job, but it was just like, I just felt like it was time, essentially, and I thought to myself, "Listen, I'm not getting any younger. If I really want to give it a go, I just need to just try it, and then if it doesn't work out, I'm sure I have experience anyway, so I don't want that kind of fear to hold me back, because I can always go back and do whatever I was doing before, essentially." So
Yeah. Great. Yeah, you mentioned the key word fear. Yeah, because
yeah, yeah,
actually,
yeah, yeah.
fear.
There was a lot of it.
Yeah, but fear is the mind killer. So it's something that like when you're stuck and you feel fear, that's when you, oh no, okay, I won't do that. So I mean, fair play to you for pushing
Thank you.
and getting to do whatever you wanted to do, which is great. And so, like, what was the turning point for you then? Because obviously today you're happy in what you're doing. So
Hmm.
you got your diploma, you passed it with good grades, as you said. So was that your turning point, or did it happen later?
I, su- I suppose that there's the first turning point was when I realized, while I was doing the marriage equality referendum campaigning, that was the first for me turning point to kind of realize that maybe there was other stuff that I could be doing career wise that was actually felt passionate about, versus just having, a job, any job.
Yeah.
And that was the first one. The second turning point was, again, for a lucky series of events. At literally 2 or 3 weeks after I did my diploma and I got my certificate, I saw an opening in GCN, which is where I work now, for a digital marketeer. So it was just, the timing
Wow.
was perfect. So I remember I didn't see the job spec. My partner sent it on to me because obviously he knew I was just fresh out of, like, college, and he just said, "Listen, you need to. This is like perfect. It's perfect for you. It's
Wow.
what you want to do. It's an NGO. It's an NGO that works for LGBTQ rights, which was my main kind of interest at the time, and it still is. So yeah, so I just, again, zero experience, but I just went for it. I did really long kind of application. So they asked me to do like essentially a marketing plan for the full year. So again, a lot of stress because I've never done anything like that. But you know what they say, fake until you make it.
No, 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 no.
I
Okay, no,
guess.
I guess I know what you say, but sure, yeah. At the beginning, you have to use some ingenuity, some of your skills too. Yeah.
It was a bit of an imposter syndrome at the beginning because I knew I had the theory because obviously I studied, but I didn't have the experience. So I felt like, am I gonna be able to actually do the job? But I think, if you really want something, if you just push yourself and you work hard, again, it's about not letting those, like, the imposter syndrome or like the fear to kind of make the jump, not letting that kind of side, that voice speak too much, and just keep
Yeah.
pushing yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then you were also lucky because you got like support, so your partner supported
Hmm.
you, which I think is great
Totally.
when you are in a moment like making big decisions.
Transition.
Should I go here? Should I go there? When you get that extra support, that I think it's invaluable. It's just great.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, fair play. It's really
Yeah.
it's really great, I think, yeah, when you're able to make those changes. And obviously, so your
Yeah.
life, your career, your situation has changed since then. So
Mm.
when you think, I suppose, when you think about Stefano 20 years ago and Stefano today, so what would be like the biggest change in your life?
Well, the biggest change for me is now that I really, really value what I do, and I'm really proud of what I do. Well, before, I was doing a job and it was fine, but it didn't really make me proud, and it didn't, like, you know, there was no, like, the passion was different. I feel like I'm very lucky because I'm working a field that I really care about and I'm really passionate about. And it's an NGO. We're a very small team. It's crazy busy all the time, but it doesn't feel like work at times. It feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing and feeling like I'm happy with what I'm doing. I was also able to do things I never thought I could achieve up until a few years ago. I won, I think, twice in a year, like a CMO for top 100 marketeers in Ireland, which was a huge, huge satisfaction and huge honor for me. But yeah, I think I'm still learning is that like there is always opportunity to grow if you just work hard, I guess. And again, there is no way, even like 7 years ago, I would have seen myself in what I'm doing right now. I knew I kind of maybe wanted to do something different, uh but yeah, it's been life changing because I'm feel a lot happier in what I do, and I feel like I'm really passionate about it.
Wow, okay, that's again fair play, Stefano. I mean, yeah, like, you're right, you must feel really proud. And okay, so drawing to a close, couple of minutes. Any recommendations for people who want to have an international career like you? Like, not exactly like yours, maybe, but you know, like international career. So any recommendations, really?
Well, first is to like, obviously work hard on studying the language and work hard and make sure that you feel comfortable enough when you're speaking to people. You feel like you know the language well enough, and then I guess uh, it's honestly it's never too late to switch career path if you feel like you're not fully satisfied in what you're doing, or you're not fully happy in what you're doing, to just see what else is out there. See if you need to upskill, do it. If you need to study to get another diploma, qualification, whatever they may be. Because honestly, I know it sounds very, very cliche, but I think, there are so many opportunities abroad that, if you really feel like you want to change or you want to do something, to just go for it. Just work to get to that place that you need to be so you can make that change essentially.
Wow, yeah, pretty neat. So you make it sound really achievable, which is great. Like
Yeah,
you see like the positive thinking and the passion in what you're doing. And sure, you have to put the hours in. Sure, you have to
totally.
maybe take a step back at stages, say,
Hmm.
okay, this is what I need to do now so I can study.
Exactly.
And but then eventually, you get to a
Mm.
place that you like, something fulfilling for you, something you're passionate about. So I
Yeah,
think all in all, go through a hard period, but then get the reward later on.
yeah.
So that's great.
And
Good
I know
advice.
and I know people here as well that have changed career paths even later. Like, I mean, now I'm in my 40s. I switched when I was like my kind of late 30s. I know people who've completely switched their career, just went into something new in their mid 40s or even later in life. By just like you said, working hard and just like figuring out what it is that they wanted to figure out how to get to that place. So yeah, I think I think age especially is just it's it's like a construct. I think if you really want something and if you work hard for it, you're gonna get there eventually.
Can I be cliche here? Can
Yeah,
I
go for
say
it.
it's never too late?
Yeah, exactly my point.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't want to say, but then I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I'm all here for it. I totally agree.
Okay, that's great. Listen, Stefan, it's been great talking to you. So I hope people who listen to you got inspired. Maybe like not to quit their job tomorrow, but to to
Make a
to
plan.
work,
Make a plan. Yeah.
make a plan, work towards their dream, and because things do happen, as you said, and as long as you are willing to put the effort, the hours, the passion, things really do happen. So that's probably the key message, and I really thank you for that. I think it's
Thank
great.
you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so thank you everybody for listening and for watching. And we'll come back next time with another episode where we'll talk to more amazing people like Stefano tonight. And so, really, thank you very much. And I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.